My favorite verse is the shortest verse in the Bible. It's John 11:35, and it is Jesus wept. And I really enjoy that verse because it shows the humanity of Jesus Christ and how he went through all the pain and the suffering that we do. And it's okay for us to go through that same pain and suffering, knowing that he's with us. So I wear it around my neck as a reminder that it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to cry sometimes, even if you're a dude, because Jesus did too. My name is Peter Buttarazzi. I am a mechanical engineering major here at the University of Maryland. And some things about myself: I'm from a big family. I'm the oldest of 8 kids, 7 boys, 1 girl. And I went to Calvert Hall College High School. It's up in Towson, Maryland. All boys Catholic school. Really nice school. Really enjoyed my time there. I play golf. I run cross country, and I'm into weightlifting. But yeah, that's a little about me.
That's awesome. So let's kind of pivot a little bit, talk about your faith life. What's kind of your faith journey been like? Have you been religious your whole life? Kind of talk a little bit about that, Pete.
Of course, yeah. So I've been religious my entire life. My family is very Catholic, huge, big Catholic family, and I've gone to church every Sunday. I went to Bible school, went to Sunday school, and I went to a Catholic high school where I actually had faith interwoven into my curriculum. But I think my faith has become the most real in the past few years, compared to the rest of my life, and it's become much more present in my life. I like to turn to my faith a lot more now than I did when I was a kid.
How so? Has it because you've gotten older, or is there more stressors on your life? What kind of has made faith more important now than maybe, a few years back?
Yeah, I mean, I think when all of us are younger, like, life is pretty easy, I would say, or at least we don't have to worry about as much. And so now I kind of understand why people have faith and how we need it to get through day-to-day things. And I try to incorporate that into every aspect of my life because college and high school are a lot more challenging than like playing baseball after school.
Yeah, 100%. So if you had to pick a favorite verse, what might that be?
Yeah, I actually wear it around my neck so I can show you. My girlfriend got me this cross. Oh, wait, where is it? Oh, there she is. Okay. So my favorite verse is the shortest verse in the Bible. It's John 11:35, and it is Jesus wept. And I really enjoy that verse because it shows the humanity of Jesus Christ and how he went through all the pain and the suffering that we do. And it's okay for us to go through that same pain and suffering, knowing that he's with us. So I wear it around my neck as a reminder that it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to cry sometimes, even if you're a dude, because Jesus did too. And he's there for you when you go through those tough times.
I think that's awesome because I think sometimes we think Jesus is this, higher power that is just always above us, but doesn't have emotions like we do. But I think that's a good
Mm,
reminder that Jesus kind of is human like us. He is God in human form and that he has emotions. And so when we feel like we, need to cry and let our emotions out, that Jesus did the same thing. So I think that's a good reminder. It's interesting that that's kind of your favorite verse because it's one that's very overlooked maybe because of how simple it is, but I think it's really
yeah.
profound. Like you kind of broke it down. You kind of talked a little bit about your life journey overall, but if you had to kind of pick one struggle and one victory from your faith life, what might that be?
I'll start with the struggle so we can end on a good note. But one struggle that I've had with my faith life in the past, um, it's really a constant struggle, the way that I would describe it. And it's just the day to day getting caught up in the world. And we're surrounded by so much, so many different views and opinions, and so much distraction that's going on around us. And so for me, one of my biggest struggles is staying focused on what's real and not getting lost in the sauce out in the world, getting lost in chasing wealth or chasing fame or even chasing a good grade, like something that seems objectively good, putting that on a pedestal, making that my God. That's something that I get lost in. So that's one of my bigger struggles is forgetting why we're here, forgetting why I'm doing what I'm doing, and starting to focus on the worldly things instead of on the things above this world. And one of my greatest faith triumphs or successes, I think, would be finding a good community. I had an amazing faith community when I was in high school. I was part of the peer ministry program there, and we got to share our stories. I got to hear a lot of really neat perspectives on people's faith, and that could have been outside of the Catholic Church, all sorts of Christian faith, even faith that wasn't Christian, but it helped to shape my perspective. And I really appreciated being able to see other faiths, see other people's view on faith, and incorporate that into my own life. So I'd say that is probably one of my greatest faith successes is being able to witness other people's testimonies.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's always good to hear from other people their journeys and see how, even though maybe different, it all kind of ends up in the same place to where they are today. I want to break down the peer ministry. I want to kind of break that down a little bit. What did you guys do? Was it more like retreat leading? Was it like masses at school? Like what did you kind of do as a part of the peer ministry?
Yeah. So the way that I like to describe peer ministry at Calvert Hall is we have 4 years, and our goal over those 4 years is to build a community that lasts for a lifetime. So peer ministry's job is really about inclusion and making sure that everyone finds a place at Calvert Hall, and that's tied into faith through our retreats, through the masses that we run, and through a bunch of service trips. So because of peer ministry, I was actually able to go out to Montana and serve on the Blackfeet Reservation out there, and I got to tutor kids at one of our sister schools, or I guess brother schools, for a week. And I got to lead a lot of retreats, lead a lot of small groups, and I did get to volunteer at Mass as an altar server and as a lector. So yeah, we did all sorts of things, all about building community and helping people to experience their faith, whatever that looked like.
What were your interactions like with the people on the reservation? Because I'm always curious to know like what you know people that we may not see on a regular basis or be in
Mhm.
contact with on a regular basis. What did you kind of find as you met them and got to be with them while you were out in Montana?
Yeah, so while I was on the reservation, it really opened my eyes to a community that I guess I always knew existed. But as you said, I had never experienced, very few people get to experience. And it's really a forgotten part of our country. And it's kind of pushed to the side, like we're supposed to forget about it. But these people are living a pretty difficult life. A lot of students don't make it through high school. I think they have a 50% dropout rate. Alcoholism is prevalent, diabetes is prevalent, so it's a struggling community. But I will also say that it's a very, very tight knit community, very family oriented, also very faith oriented, which was surprising. Um, but it was a great experience. The people there were very kind, and yeah, I mean, interacting with them is just like interacting with anyone else. They all like the same stuff. No different than you and me. They just live on the other side of the country.
Yeah, did you feel kind of connected to home because you have your faith and family are important to you? Did you kind of feel right at home, even though you weren't at home, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, I really did feel at home because I went with a community or with a group there, and those guys were all from Calvert Hall, and I see the guys at Calvert Hall as my family, and they all have the same interests, not exactly the same faith, but a lot of the same values. So I felt like I was in a very tight knit community. I felt like I was at home while I was there, and then also on the reservation with the students in general, they reminded me of my little brothers, and that was really cool to feel like an older brother again, helping out some kids, whether that was with math or reading a book or just playing basketball out back behind the school.
Yeah, I think just finding the humanity in everyone, no matter what our differences or similar, and finding if there are many similarities between us.
Hmm.
That's awesome. That's a great experience that you were able to have. So, kind of heading in the home stretch here, you've obviously been in the Catholic faith your whole life. What might you say to people who are a little bit unsure about their faith? Maybe they've, you know, been involved their whole life and kind of maybe drifted away in recent years, or maybe they've never gotten involved in the faith. What might you say to them?
I think for me, when I find myself drifting, is realizing that your faith is a choice. Like, it's not something that just happens. And you get to choose whether you turn to God or whether you turn away. But what you don't get to choose is whether he turns away, because he's always going to be turned towards you. And there's this one image that I really like about our faith, and it's an image of Jesus. and he's knocking at your door, but that door does not have a doorknob on the outside. And he's not going to try to barge in. He's not going to break down the door. He's not going to find some way to pick the lock. And the only person who can open that door is you. And he's just going to stand there calling your name for as long as you're alive, even after you're dead. And it's up to you. You get to make that decision. And if you find yourself struggling with your faith, um, know that the power is in your hands. And if you want to make that decision to turn towards Christ, finding people who also want to stand there with you makes that decision a lot easier. And having a support system around you will make that decision a lot easier, and you'll be able to travel in your faith with other people.
That's a great analogy about God being at the door. I think, in fact, in scripture, I stand at the door knocking and waiting for, I don't remember the rest of it, but that analogy is very relevant enough that Jesus himself used it, saying that he knocked at the door and is using, he knocked at the door and he's trying to get in our hearts. But like you said, he's not going to barge in or just do whatever. It's up to us to kind of make that decision. So I think that's a really good analogy there. And speaking of which, kind of wrap it up, we're talking about decisions, as you're having to develop a new faith community, that's probably different from your Calvert Hall family. What kind of things do you want to do to get involved, to stay grounded in faith? Because I think especially in this transition from high school to college, I think this is where people start to lose the faith that's been grounding them throughout their whole life. So what do you kind of plan to do to kind of stay engaged with the faith here at UMD?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I agree. A lot of people do tend to drift, especially because they don't have their families around them to take them to church on Sunday. And I think that's a big reason. But for me, to stay in touch with my faith, I'm going to church on Sunday, but that's just the baseline. And I'm Catholic, so I go to the Catholic Mass, but I've also joined 2 Bible groups. So I've joined one through the Catholic community, and it's actually with guys from Calvert Hall, which is really cool, who are at Maryland now. So I still get to stay in touch with that community while deepening my faith. And then also, about this one I went to the Bible study last night, and just a great opportunity to dig into scripture and to learn more about what I believe in. And outside of that, I think my faith is best practiced in practice, in the actual physical ways that we practice our faith. So I'm joining a couple service groups to go and live out my faith, even though they're not faith-based groups. I believe one of the most important parts of our faith is service to others, to be servants just as Jesus was. So I'm going to try to do the best that I can and continue to be a servant on this campus.
That's awesome. Well, I definitely have no doubt that you'll be able to continue being that servant, especially with the Bible studies and the service groups. That's the essence of Jesus, loving others, serving others, and then telling others about the good news. And I have no doubt that you'll be able to succeed in all that stuff. Well, Pete, I really appreciate your time taking a few minutes to chat about your faith with us. Thanks so much, and hopefully we'll have you back on soon, man.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Danny. Have a good one.